This episode will be dedicated to the latest release from the Sydney/Melbourne band known as Xiao. If you want to hear more, please stick around. This is All Gas, No Trash. My name is Adam, and welcome back to the program, and welcome to a brand new episode. Before we get underway, I just want to reiterate my PSA that I had made before this episode that you can check out. It's a 4-minute video that lets you know why we can't play music, but I'm going to recap that real quickly here. So we are a music podcast that discusses music, music-related topics, news, things like that. However, when you see the bookmarks and you don't hear the song, that is because it is your responsibility or your choice to check out the music that we are listening to at your own discretion. So if we recommend a song, we recommend that you listen to it on your digital streaming platform of choice. We say that before we listen to each song. So just keep that in mind. We can't play the music on the program because there are people that are the rights holders, whether that is the record label itself, the publisher, or even the artist. We can't play their music because we can be potentially copyright striked, or we can have our video demonetized, or a combination of the both. And that is just problematic to both ourselves and also anybody, the other parties that are the rights holders for the music. So in order to avoid all that, we simply do not play the music. We simply discuss artists, music, music-related news, topics, all stuff related to music, right? So just keep that in mind going forward. And whenever we say, whenever we're talking about music, just keep in mind that we are recommending that you listen at your own discretion on your own digital streaming platform of choice. So just keep that in mind. All right, now let's go ahead and transition over to the introduction of the episode. There are a few things to recap about Xiao, the band itself. For starters, they are operating out of both Sydney and Melbourne. Additionally, they are comprised of Kitibwa, who is the vocalist, Minyuk, Colin, Jay, and Himadri. I'm not sure which is which as far as guitar, bassist, and drums, but I know Kitibwa is the vocalist of the group. But as I've stated in previous episodes, I think Australia has a really strong punk scene going from, Sydney to Melbourne. It is just balls to the wall, amazing bands. You have groups like Public Figures, who we've been frequently talking about, Split System, Civic, The Chats, GT, 1-800-Mikey. There's also like more nuanced bands, like there's a band called, I think, Satanic Togas, and TV Repairmen. But there's just really interesting bands out there, and that's contrasted by what my opinion is of shoegaze at this moment. It seems kind of like homogenous, whereas the punk scene in Australia feels like it's contrasting. It's got different personalities. Not everybody's talking about the same things in the lyrical content. It's just it's a very exciting time when it comes to punk. And I mean, I don't know what else to add about it, but this is something I've talked about pretty extensively. So if you want to check out the previous episodes, I'm not sure. It might be episode 1 when we were called Game Rage Music, and the other episode, which is the introductory episode about Xiao, is also available on our YouTube channel. I might include it in the end cards, but let's go ahead and get to the song itself. So the song that we are going to listen to is called Tips, and it looks like it's in reference to female strippers when they get tipped money to dance and stuff. So I'm sure there is more than meets the eye about what this song is about. So let's go ahead and give it a listen. I have one more thing to share about Xiao when we get back. So pull this song up on your digital streaming platform of choice. Let's go ahead and give it a listen. Actually, let me clarify real quickly. So the way that you can listen to this song is it's already available as a music video, so you can check that out on YouTube. And we will include it as an end card, so if you don't listen to it at this moment, you can check it out at the very end. Or if you have a digital streaming platform like Spotify or Apple Music, go ahead and pull it up on one of those. Or, if you have Deezer or whatever it might be, go ahead and pull it up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and give the track a listen. It's called Tips from the band called Xiao, and we're going to dive into it. So, Xiao Xiao with their song called Tips going in. All right, welcome back. That was Xiao Xiao with their song called Tips. Let us know in the comments what you thought about it. I want to preface in saying that hopefully you checked out the song via your digital streaming platform of choice or via the the video that was available on YouTube that they made for this song. So, this particular track is rather interesting, and I do want to quickly note that Kitibwa directed, in addition to Desiree Cremona, and it was produced by Susie Anthony and executive produced by Colin J. of Xiao Xiao as well. So two of the members seem to be pretty hands-on as far as the music video goes, and there are quite a few other people to credit, but we don't have that kind of time to credit everybody, but just props to the whole project for everybody that was involved to make this video come out as well as it did, with like the color grading and the shots. It looks fucking amazing, especially for like a small independent project from Australia to make it look as good as it does. I mean, it was quite impressive. But for me, this track was particularly interesting because of the fact that I think my prediction or my theory is that this song is about survivalism through sex work. And there is a line, I think somewhere around the bottom, closer to the end of the track, where she says she didn't choose this life, but she knows that God forgives. And I think there is perhaps a general sentiment that sex work is not equal to, say, like white collar or blue collar work, that people are just throwing money at strippers. But also, in addition to that, if you're looking at it through a religious lens, that there should be shame in sex work. But I think Kitibwa is trying to get at the idea that she's taking on whatever job is going to pay her the most money, and she doesn't care where the money comes from because it's about survival, especially the fact that it seems like within the story that this person, whether that is Kitibwa herself or maybe the character within the song, is also has a family, because it says right here, she's a night walker, a smooth talker. She gotta feed her kids, sipping double limes because she doesn't drink. She didn't choose this life, but she knows that God forgives. So I like this track. I think it is distinct from some of the other stuff that we've heard as far as punk bands go in Australia. This one is giving a female perspective, in addition to bands like, Amyl the Sniffers or public figures. This one is really interesting for the reasons I stated previously about this track kind of getting at the idea of like survivalism. And I like the part where she's talking about she's like, oh, I don't really care if you're a fucking tech bro. I just want to know how heavy your pockets are so I can pull that shit out of your pocket so I can take it home and feed my kids. Like that's funny to me, I guess, in a sense, because I get the idea that Kitibwa is trying to illustrate that she's in control of the situation within a strip club to seduce a client, right? For their pleasure, that they would be willing to just not exactly hand over money, but in exchange for this service, they are willing to dump loads of money, and that affords her the opportunity to pay for her rent or, whatever it is, give food, or rather buy food for her family and all that stuff. So I don't know. I find that interesting. And going back to like the religious stuff, to include a line about how God forgives, I think is also particularly interesting to say that for both sides, not only the client and for Kitibwa herself to perform this service, that all things could be forgiven at the end of the day by God, because that is in the nature of Christianity to atone for sins, right? And it's an interesting perspective to have, because it's like something she needs to do to put food on the table, and it is deemed, I guess, evil in some sense, or a sin, but it's like it's necessary for her. And at the end of the day, God forgives, right? Or at least according to Christianity, God or Jesus have the capacity to forgive sins. So it gives the song a little bit more of a nuance to it. And I think this is a really interesting track. And I'm not sure if I'm looking into it too much, but the way that Kitibwa speaks feels like it's almost hip hop ish. And I could be wrong about that, but maybe we might see more of that coming to fruition in new singles or new songs that are released by Chow Chow. But that's just, speculation on my part. Maybe me reading into it too much, but I feel like there's a little bit of a hip hop tinge to their sound. But anyways, the last thing I wanted to include was a little bit of a fun fact that I found on their Instagram profile, which they seem to have been nominated by the SMAC Awards, which is something that I believe is run by FBI, not the FBI here in the US, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, but it is a community-run radio station in Australia, possibly something like NTS or Dub Lab here. But they got three nominations for the SMAC Awards, so shout outs to them. Hopefully the accolades to continue to roll in. But this is going to be the end of the episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll catch you all next time. We have one more episode on the way for you. And I'll catch you all next time.